All right, thank you for coming today. I'm Jim Veltkamp, the Bozeman Police Chief. Last is Veltkamp, because I know the media always likes to have that spelled out. And today I'm here for the purpose of giving an update on an officer-involved shooting that took place early yesterday morning. On Wednesday, October 16, at about 8 p.m., Bozeman police officers received a report from a caller that stated she was in contact with the mother of a female friend who had been threatened by the friend with a handgun. This occurred in a residence near the area of 15th and Durston in Bozeman. Officers responded to the residence and learned the female had left the residence with the handgun. Officers obtained a description of the female and her clothing. They also learned that the female had made suicidal threats and specific threats about killing specific people, a fact that also increased officers' concerns. Officers searched the area for the next 2 hours, eventually locating the female in the parking lot of the shopping complex located on the northeast corner of Oak and 19th. She was still in possession of the handgun. Officers contacted the female, who refused to put the firearm down, but also stayed stationary in front of a couple closed businesses. An open grocery store nearby raised the importance of keeping the female contained in that area and away from that open store. Additional officers arrived, and trained crisis negotiators began communicating with the female, hoping to de-escalate the situation and resolve it peacefully. After a period of time, members of the Joint City-County Special Response Team were also called to assist and to replace the patrol officers. Negotiations continued for about 2 hours and 45 minutes. During this time, the female repeatedly raised and lowered the handgun, with less lethal tools being used at least once. At about 1:45 a.m., the female set the firearm down and briefly indicated she was giving up by moving away from it. She then ran back up to it and grabbed it again, raising it up in a motion that concerned the officers. An officer-involved shooting ensued, with 2 Bozeman police officers firing rifles. 2 more Bozeman police officers and a Gallatin County Sheriff's deputy also deployed less lethal tools. After the shooting, officers approached as soon as safely possible, but she was found deceased. There were no injuries to the responding officers. Per department policy and standard procedure in these situations, the involved officers have been placed on administrative leave. The Montana Division of Criminal Investigations has been requested per department protocol and is conducting an independent investigation into the circumstances surrounding the entire event. The results of that investigation will be submitted to the Gallatin County Attorney's Office for their review and also in preparation for a future coroner's inquest. Concurrently, our department will be conducting an internal investigation to take a comprehensive look at the event to identify any possible policy violations, equipment needs, or training concerns. I want to emphasize that this is the best information we have at this point, and this may change as the investigations I just mentioned are conducted. Our heartfelt condolences go out to the family members and all impacted by the loss. These kind of events not only affect the family, but also the entire community. In addition, they affect the officers who were directly involved. I'm extremely proud of their professionalism and patience of every single officer and deputy that was involved. It was clear to see how vested they'd become yesterday during the duration of the event in trying to bring it to a peaceful resolution. Each of them signs on as a law enforcement officer to help people, always hoping that each call does not end like this. I would also like to thank our partners who assisted us during this event, including Bozeman Fire, Bozeman Streets, Gallatin County Sheriff's Office, Montana Highway Patrol, the Montana State University Police Department, Gallatin County 911, and American Medical Response. At this point, we ask for the community's patience and understanding during the investigations, and please know we're committed to conducting a thorough investigation. So that's the end of my remarks and statement, but I am open to taking questions. Just please understand there's certain things we simply don't know yet, and I can't answer at this point. Are there any questions? Yes?
Do you know when the woman will be identified?
That information will be released by the coroner's office. Once they've made notifications, they always handle providing that information. I can tell you she was a 29-year-old female who currently lived in Bozeman.
Was there body camera footage?
Yes, we have a variety of footage from vehicles, a variety of vehicles, and from body cams, and those will still all need to be reviewed. There are numerous videos.
Is that something the department would release after that review?
So that information will be released when the coroner's inquest happens, and at that point, the video that they use as part of their coroner's inquest will be made available to the media and to the public.
And has that been scheduled yet, or do you know?
I don't believe that's been scheduled at this point.
So you had mentioned the sheriff's department was there as well, and they had used less lethal forces. Can you say what that is?
So the question, I neglected to repeat the other questions. The question was the less lethal tool that the sheriff's office used. I don't have that information at this time. What I do know is that our special response team and patrol officers in both departments carry a variety of less lethal tools. Who is carrying what, I just don't have all that at this time.
Was there a process for evacuating or making sure that people in the nearby stores that were open were safe?
Yes, the question was about ensuring the safety of the open businesses and anyone else in the area. And what I recall from hearing and reviewing the notes is that there were several times where someone requested to be escorted away from the area. The only fortunate piece of this, it's a high traffic location, but the majority of the businesses were closed at that night, so luckily the traffic aside from the open grocery store was quite limited.
Can you expand a little bit more about kind of like what happened when the gun was put down and it seemed like she was giving up to when she grabbed it again? Why no officers tried to get the gun when it was down?
Again, a lot of that is, it's way too early to comment on the actual details of that. What I can say is that the distance for them to get to her before she could get to the gun was definitely not sufficient. She was still way too close to it to do that. But I promise if any of those options had been available and reasonable, officers would have taken those steps. Yes?
I was going to ask, so your crisis intervention team,
Yep.
how would you say they did, and how often do they have to be put in situations like this around town?
So these were trained crisis negotiators who are officers who are attached to the special response team. We use them a significant amount. And in this situation, they did a phenomenal job. 2 hours and 45 minutes to try to speak to someone, build rapport, and communicate with them well enough to change their behavior is extremely difficult. These negotiators are used increasingly. They come along with the special response team, but they're also called in a lot of situations when they're already on patrol. So they will respond to specific calls where their skills and abilities to be active listeners and communicate might be able to be of benefit before we call out other resources.
Yeah, and when's the last time that they had a situation like this?
The question, the last time we had a situation like this, I can tell you the crisis negotiators come on every special response team call out. And we had one just a couple weeks ago here in town. Outside of that, I can't tell you the exact last time any of them were used, again, because they often use those skills on patrol calls that are resolved that none of us ever hear about.
I'm wondering if you could share any details of that, the 2 hours and 45 minutes and the conversations between the women and officers and what that was like.
So the question was about the 2 hours and 45 minutes, the conversation. I have not had a chance to review all of the body cam or all the conversations. And a part of that is because it is still under review with the 2 investigations. It would honestly be speculation for me to just guess about how the conversation went. I know what's typically done. I know how it goes. I know the themes that are frequently used to try to change someone's behavior in a crisis mode. But as far as the actual conversation, I don't know what it was. All I heard from everyone who was on scene was what a phenomenal job the negotiators did using their skills and abilities to try to resolve this peacefully. Yes?
So I know a lot of people have been kind of asking on Facebook, but do you think, I know she had run up to the gun, did it have to end lethally?
In this situation, officers do everything they possibly can not to have it happen that way. And again, I cannot speculate without the investigations being conducted. From my knowledge and the fact that they took 2 hours and 45 minutes trying to resolve it peacefully. That is the absolute last thing that any of them wants to do. And seeing them back there after this incident, I promise that was written on everybody's face.
And I was gonna kind of further elaborate on that. Is there a therapy kind of program or something that the police officers get to go through now?
Yes, the question was about therapy or some kind of wellness for the officers. So over the years, we have slowly increased our wellness offerings for the department. We have realized, different than when I started many years ago, that the best way for us to take care of the community is for us to take care of our officers, keep them healthy so they can take care of the community. So we have a wide variety of things we offer them, various critical incident stress debriefings to try to help them process what they've been through. And hopefully the goal is to make them whole back to what they were before they all experienced this event.
And I guess you probably would have said, but is there any indication that she fired the gun at any point or if it was loaded?
The question was whether she fired the gun or whether it's loaded. I do not believe she fired the gun. Beyond that, it would be speculation to know if it was loaded or not. Clearly, that's something that is impossible to tell from the officer's perspective.
How many did you say are on leave right now?
Question was how many are on leave? So our practice for the administrative investigation is that anyone who fired a weapon is on administrative leave. So at this point, there are a total of 5, 4 from our department and 1 from the sheriff's department. Yes?
So that includes people who fired non-lethal weapons?
That is, the question was, does that include people that fired non-lethal? That is correct. Any more questions? Yes.
I don't know if this is something that you could necessarily answer, but do you know what kind of led to this individual making these threats? Were drugs, alcohol, any kind of mental health issues a part of that?
My understanding is there were some mental health issues and certainly some increasing mental health issues that led to these suicidal and homicidal threats towards specific people. Beyond that, I don't have any information regarding what specifically the issues were.
Does she have a criminal record, do you know?
The question was, does she have a criminal record? I don't know. I don't have that information. I don't know. All right. Well, I appreciate all of you coming and being here. Thank you. Thank you for attending today.